सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयं यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। In UpadeshSahasri, we will start with the 9th chapter, or end of the 8th chapter. But review the 7th and 8th chapters. 7th chapter is called Buddhyaruda Prakaranam. Aruda means riding. Buddhyaruda, riding on the buddhi. So, as we said, the nomenclature of the chapter is very informal. Whatever the first word of the verse, first verse, becomes the title of that chapter. Sometimes the last verse, depending on how you give the title. Here, the first word begins with Buddhyarudham. Therefore, the chapter is named Buddhyaruda Prakaranam. There is no other reason. एवं कृतान्वय व्यतिरेकस्य परिशोधित पदार्थ तत्वस्य वाक्यादयो वाकार्थ ज्ञानम उपपद्यते उपपत्या निर्धारितम अर्थम. Earlier chapter, निर्धारितम was determined, ascertained. The meaning that was ascertained in the previous chapter is that Krutanvaya Vyatireka, one who has done the Anvaya Vyatireka, Parishodhita Padartha Tattvasya. By Anvaya Vyatireka, one who has investigated the meaning of the Pada, the Tat and Tvam, these two Padas are words in the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. Vakyadeva Vakyartha Jnana Upadhyate. So one who has understood rightly meaning of the word Tat by Anvaya Vyatireka. What goes with Tat and what does not go with Tat. That is Parishodhita, that's the pure nature of Tat, which is consciousness. Tvam again by Anvaya Vyatireka, because this is Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Is something that accompanies Tat and does not accompany Tat. Something accompanies Tvam and does not accompany Tvam. The only thing that accompanies Tat is consciousness. not Upadi, namely Maya. Or what accompanies Tvam, always consciousness, not the Upadi of Vidya. Thus, one who is now known that Tat means consciousness, Tvam also means consciousness. For that person, the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, that Tvam Tat Asi. Jnana Utpadyate, that I am consciousness. Iti Upatya Nirdharatam. So, this meaning or this subject matter that the knowledge takes place in the one who has now correctly understood the meaning of the words Tat and Tvam, this was established upatya logically, swanu avastambena, shruti, yukti and anubhava. With anubhava also. One's own experience, everybody's experience also. Spashtikartum, that is also our own experience. Meaning that, आवाज थोड़ा मोटो करो पर से अच्छा हुआ एनु वॉल्यूम हाँ के પછી आ so that it is our own experience also. Meaning that if we analyze our experiences, then also it becomes very clear that I am Brahman. Spashtikartum, because what is the truth or reality must also be the matter of experience. Because reality pervades everything. And therefore pervades every experience also. All time, place, condition, everything is pervaded by Satyam. So what is established logically also must be object of experience. Our experience also should reveal that. Prakaranantaram arabhate. The next prakarana is commenced. Buddhyarudam sada sarvam drishyate yatra tatrava maya tasmat param brahma sarvajnaschasmi sarvagah. Sarvam maya drishyate. Everything is known to me, seen by me, known to me. Whatever knowledge takes place. Sarvam adhyatma adhibhutam adhidevam adhyatmam adhibhutam adhidevam. Centered upon the self, centered upon the object, centered upon the devatas. Sarvam, whatever there is in this creation. Yatra tatrava, wherever or whenever, whenever, at all times, at all places and all conditions, jagat, swapnayoho, in the waking, dream, deep sleep, drishyate is known. How is it known? Pratyakshaditaha shastratoha. Whatever I know by way of perception or what I know through the Shastra, they are the two sources of our knowledge. So whenever, at whatever time, whatever is experienced or known by me, tat sarvam buddhyarudham drishyate. I know that as buddhyarudham. Buddhi arudham, buddhya arudham. Arudham as being rid, the buddhi rides everything. Then the buddhi pervades. Whatever it is that I experience is always experienced as accompanied by, pervaded by buddhi. To me, the self, no experience can take place unless buddhi is involved. All experiences only take place through buddhi. The buddhi is involved in every experience. So this is our experience, this is our observation. That whatever I know, wherever I know, whenever I know, however I know, is always accompanied by the buddhi. Buddhyarudam buddhivritti krudikritam is always known as buddhivritti. Meaning that whatever I know is known as the vritti or the modification of buddhi. Buddhi takes the form of everything that I know. Unless buddhi takes that form, it cannot become the object of knowledge. What we call knowledge. So what's the big deal? This is our experience. What does the experience teach us? Tasmat param brahma sarvajnaschasmi sarvagah. Tasmat param brahmasmi. This fact about our life reveals that I am param brahma. What's the nature of param brahma? Sarvajnaschasmi sarvagah. Sarvajna, omniscient. Sarvaga, all pervading, all knowing, Param Brahma I am is revealed by our day-to-day experience that whatever is experienced by me is invariably experienced as a modification of buddhi. When buddhi takes the form of an object, then that object becomes the object of experience, not otherwise. So whole prapancha is nothing but the buddhi vritti. Who am I? I am the witness of that buddhi vritti, witness of the prapancha. What is prapancha or universe or life? Whatever we experience in our life, every moment is nothing but the modification of buddhi, state of mind. What we experience is in our mind. Whether we call it buddhi or mind. Thus mind keeps on assuming different forms. Why does the mind experience a form or assume a form? Whenever the mind comes in contact with anything, at any time, in any place, it assumes the form of that object or entity, because then only that entity can become the object of my experience. So who am I? That this is known to me, that means that there is a knower, I am the knower. What kind of knower? The knower without any modification. All modifications are in the buddhi and they are all known. So I, the knower, is the one who is devoid of all modifications. Prapanchatitam param brahmasmi. Prapancha is all nothing but the modification of mind. And I am the witness of that prapancha in the form of mind. The witness is always different from what is witnessed. Therefore I am atita, I transcend the prapancha. Who am I? The Brahman that is transcendental. And since knowledge takes place, I am the knower, and I am all knowing. At the same time, the knowledge of all the objects takes place, therefore I am all pervading, sarvagaha and sarvajnaha. That Brahman I am. Our simple day-to-day experience reveals what my nature is. कथम एतावता सर्वज्ञत्व? Just because આ ગઈકાલ સુધી બરોબર ચાલતું હતું આ બધું, હા? So the question is, how do you say you're all knowing? You experience your buddhi. You know the modification of your buddhi, vrittis. So at the most you can claim that you are the knower of your own buddhi, or the prapancha that is the form of which is assumed by your buddhi. You do not know what is going on in the buddhi of other people. पुरुषांतर बुद्ध्यारूढ़े अर्थे पुरुषांतर से अनुभव स्मरण असंभवात. I cannot experience what you are experiencing. Why do you say? Because I cannot remember what you remember. Remembrance always presupposes experience. So at the most I know what is in my mind. How can I say I am all-knowing? The second verse is, Yathatma buddhi charanam sakshi tadvat pareshvapi. Yatha atma buddhi charanam. Charaha, vicharaha, vishayaha. Sakshi. I am sakshi witness of atma buddhi chara. Of the prachara, the modifications, the objects of my mind, atma buddhi. Cannot be called my mind really. Why is it called atma buddhi? Atma sambandhini buddhi. It is the Shashti Tatpurusha. Atma is not buddhi. Buddhi of Atma. Atma means sambandhit. Really, buddhi has no relation with Atma. So you can call it Atma's buddhi. Why? Sarva vyavahara pravartakataya. Buddhi is like the chief minister who makes all vyavahara possible. Says buddhi is the pravartaka, the prompter of all the vyavahara for the self. Because without the buddhi, self cannot have any vyavahara. Therefore, it is the buddhi related to self. There is no relationship. But the relationship of this nature, that buddhi is the one that makes all the vyavahara possible for Atma. Without buddhi, no vyavahara can take place, so you can call it buddhi related to Atma. So Atma buddhi, Atma sambandhini buddhi. So, just as the Atma buddhi charana, so all the charaha, vicharaha, vishayaha of Atma buddhi, buddhi related to Atma, not related in a primary sense, but associated with Atma. So, what is the chara, prachara, the scope of buddhi? Where does buddhi move about? Adhyatma, adhideva, sthula, sukshma, dehatmakaha. Buddhi knows what is the individual level, at the elemental level, gross body, subtle body. This is where the scope of buddhi is. What is my role? Tesham sakshi. Buddhi can take the forms, no doubt, of adhyatma, adhibhuta, sthula, sukshma. Buddhi requires me to illumine them, sphorakaha. Sakshi literally means witness. But I am not witness in primary sense. Illuminator. So all the objects of buddhi are illumined because of me, the consciousness. You cannot call me witness. I am just illuminated. That also you cannot say really. I am self-effulgent consciousness who shines in my own light. And buddhi, and therefore all the vishayas of the buddhi, they get illumined. Not that any effort is involved on my part to illumine them. Just as the sun illumines everything by its presence, even though we call sun the illuminator. And so Atma illumines everything by its presence, so we can call it Sakshi, witness, but in fact it just shines. Tadvat pareshu api. Whatever is the kind of relationship I have with my buddhi, the same relationship I have with all the buddhis. Buddhis are many, but I, Sakshi, is one. How do you say that? Sakshi vede pramana abhavad. This pramana evidence that buddhis are many. Every buddhi has its own unique nature, thinks in its own way, etc., etc. There is no pramana, no evidence to establish the manyness of the witness. There is no witness of the witness. Because the witness of the buddhi knows the very nature of buddhi, the attributes of buddhi, so we know that buddhis are many. But there is no way of establishing that the witness of buddhi is many, because to establish any you require witness. There can be no witness of the witness, therefore there is no pramanam, evidence to say that sakshis are many. That's one thing. Therefore, just as I am the knower, witness of all the prachara, all the modifications, the objects, the movement of my buddhi, I am the same witness in all the personalities. I am the one witness, illuminator, illumines all the buddhis. So if you want to call me the Sakshi of this buddhi, if you call me Sakshi of all the buddhis, if I am knower of what's going on in my mind, by that rule, what nature of knower? Illuminator. If knower was a role, if it involved any kind of kriya or kartrutva or knowerness, pramatrutva, then pramatas are many. Pramatas are many. But there is no manyness as far as mere illuminator is concerned. There is no pramanam that suns are many. Lamps can be many. Mai eva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishthitam, mai sarvam layam yati. In me only everything emerges, is sustained, merges back. Tad Brahma, therefore I am one non-dual Brahman. So this Shruti also establishes that I am Chidekarase Atmani. I am the Atma, the self is purely consciousness. And in me alone is all the knowers, Pramatra, Buddhi. For an experience to take place, the experiencer Pramata must be there, the Buddhi must be there, the objects of Buddhi must be there, the whole setup must be there. But who am I? Mai Saram, all these Pramata, the Prameya, the Pramanam, the Prama, all of this emerges from me, sustained by me, merges back into me, who is non-dual. So therefore, whatever is created, sustained, dissolved, has to be mithya, kalpitam, because that is called truth which cannot be created, which is always there, cannot undergo modification or change. The prapancha constantly changes, created, sustained, dissolved, so it is very clear that it is mithya, kalpitam. And therefore, I, who is the eliminator of this kalpita prapancha, just by my being there, not on account of any effort, therefore, mama sarvajñatvadi, therefore, I am sarvajña, sarvagaha. Yasmadevam aham sarvasakshittvena sarvadhisthana sarvajña sarvagatascha. Sarvasakshittvena, being sakshi of all, I am sarvajña. I am adhisthana, because in me everything emerges, sustains, merges back. Who am I? I am adhisthana. I am satyam. All of this is kalpita. Therefore, apodhum, naiva apodhum, na cha adatum shakyah. Nobody can reject me, nor anybody can accept me. I am not subject to being rejected nor accepted. Only one thing that we cannot reject nor can we accept, that is ourselves. Rejection, acceptance requires separation. I can reject something different from me, accept something other than me. I am the self of all, therefore, nobody can reject me, nobody can accept me, that's what I am the self. Or, as is explained here, nobody can reject me, nobody can say that this one is not the drashta of this one, is not the drashta. Or nobody can accept me, meaning that nobody can create me, live in me. Therefore, I am one non-dual self. Tasmat paraha paramatma eva aham. Therefore, I am Paramatma. Not only by virtue of being the witness of one buddhi, by virtue of being the illuminator of everything. Nanu buddhyarudam chet sarvam prakashyate kshetrajnena. The kshetrajna, the self, illumines everything that is pervaded by buddhi, objectified by buddhi. And that everything of which the buddhi assumes the form. That's all illuminated by kshetrajna. So you are illuminator, prakashyate. Tada darshan kriyayam kurtutvat. So word sakshi, it was used there. So you are not a witness but illuminator anyway. If you are illuminator of everything, then that act of illumination you are associated with. You are the agent of the act of illumination. Kartrutvad darshana kriyayam kartrutvad vikaritvam. The karta is always vikari. If you are the agent of the act of seeing, illuminating, then also being karta or agent, there is a constant change depending upon what is illuminated. The illuminator also changes. Therefore, vikaritvam. Vikaritvadi dosha prapte. Moment you say vikari, changeable, means perishable, all doshas will come with vikara. And all that is for anatma. Anatma is perishable, vikari, inert. Therefore, if you are really in the primary sense, the illuminator, then you are anatma, not atma. So vikaritvam, ashuddhatvam, bhautikatvam cha na chatmanah. Atma, for atma there is no vikaritvam. No change or modification. Ashuddhatvam, no impurity in atma. Bhautikatvam, no tangibility in atma. Why? Ashesha buddhi sakshitva. Because the atma is sakshi. So sakshi, atma is sakshi of what is vikari. That is vikari tvam. The changes are there, modifications are there, no doubt about that. Who is Atma? The illuminator of that. Ashuddhatvam also is there. Impurities are there. But Atma has no impurity. Kriyagana yogitvam nasti. If Atma in any way yogi or connected with Kriya or Guna, so anybody who is the locus of Kriya is going to be changeable, is impure. Any Dravya is the Ashraya of Kriya or Guna. Atma was also Kriya, Ashraya of Kriya. The act of illuminating. And therefore Guna, because Sattvic, Rajas, Tamas, then there will be impurity in Atma. But Sakala Guna Kriya Vastu, Vadvastu Sakshitvat, everything possesses Kriya and Guna. But Atma is the Sakshi, witness, illuminator of an Atma that possesses Kriya, Guna. Therefore, na vikaritvam, na ashuddhatvam, na bhautikatvam. But the element is vikari, ashuddha, bhautika. Atma is ever free from vikaritvam, ashuddhatvam, bhautikatvam. Ashesha buddhi sakshitvat. By virtue of being sakshi, the witness of all the buddhi is there. There is vikaritvam in the buddhi, ashuddhatvam in the buddhi, bhautikatvam in buddhi. But sakshitvat, being witness, atma is devoid of vikaritvam, ashuddhatvam, bhautikatvam. Then buddhivad nalpavedana. Alpavedana. The limited knowledge. There is limitation of knowledge in the buddhi. Because buddhi can objectify only one entity at a time. And therefore, Buddhist knowledge is limited by time, place, object. But I am illuminating all the buddhis simultaneously, and therefore, na buddhivat alpavedana. Every individual buddhi is alpavedi, knows a little insignificant. The knowledge of a buddhi is insignificant. But that insignificance of knowledge is not in me who illumines that buddhi. Sarbuddhi swarupa tadvikara sakshitvat. Because I am the sakshi, the witness, the illuminator of all the buddhi and all the vikaras of the buddhi. Buddhi is jadatvam, so vikaritvam. Ashuddhatvam. How do you know Jadatvam, Vikayatvam, Ashuddhatvam? Unless something illumines that. The Jadatvam, that is inert, Paraprakashyam, non-self-effulgent, therefore changing, therefore impure. We know all this. How do you know that? Because an illuminator, the self, who is naturally, who transcends all this. In Nirvikara eva Atma. If by this reasoning you prove that Atma is Nirvikara, self is consciousness, ever changeless, Katham tari sa sarvata prakashaka iti. How can what is changeless illuminate everything? The illuminator is known to change in accordance with what is illumined. Remaining himself changeless, how can Atma be the illuminator of everything? Sarvartha prakashaka. Artha means entities. It is the prakashaka, the illuminator of all the entities. Itself remaining changeless. How can it be? Iti. Ashankya. A very beautiful example is given. Loka prasiddha dushtantena. By drishtanta illustration, that is loka prasiddha, something that is known to everybody. Nirvikarasya prakashakatvam. Who can be prakashaka? Who can be illuminator? Nirvikara eva prakashaka. That can be illuminator who does not undergo a change. What itself is changing cannot be the illuminator. So it is our day-to-day experience that the illuminator is necessarily nirvikara. Where do you find this? Mano prakashyate yadvat raktadya karatatape mai sandushyate sarvam atape nevas tanmaya atape neva tanmaya. Example of a crystal, mani. So we know raktadi akarata mano prakashyate yadvat. Sfatikadi lakshane mano. In a mani or a jewel, such as Sfatika or a crystal, like this. Japa kusumadi rupa raktadi akarata prakashyate. So therefore, the color such as pink or red prakashyate in this crystal. So that is the common experience, that crystal displays a glow of color such as red, pink, yellow. That's the common experience. When would this be possible? Atape sati, that's seventh case, sati. Only when the light is there. When general light is there, which illumines this mani or crystal, illumines also the color of the flower. So crystal is able to show the glow of this object, color. Only when all of that is illumined by general light. If this light was not there, crystal could not display the glow of red or pink. Is it not so? That's a common experience. So atape sati, either sunlight or the changeless light. The light that illumines the crystal or the object itself should be devoid of the qualities of the object, colorless it should be. Atapa, the sunlight or light itself should be changeless, colorless, attributeless. Then only the changes, colors, attributes could be illumined. That's our experience. If this light itself was red light, it could not have illumined the true color. Yadvat. So this is a common experience. What is the experience? That Atapa, sunlight, or general light, which itself is devoid of any attributes, and color and change, which is changeless, only in presence of that light, then an object such as crystal is able to display its ability of the glow of the colors. So Buddhi is like this crystal. Buddhi has the ability to display the glow of the objects. So that's our experience. Therefore, just as in case of crystal, whether you notice or not is a different thing. We see the pink color all right, and that's how far we think. But all of that is made possible by the presence of light, which we may not note. So Buddhi is able to illumine all its objects and attributes. We may not notice. Japakusum. You can see the red color. So similarly, Sphatikasthaniyayam buddhau, the illustration that is Sphatika, illustrated is buddhi. Illustration Japakusumadi, red, etc. includes the buddhi, the various objects. Vishayajatam sandrushyate. That we know the various objects of buddhi. When buddhi is able to display the glow or form of the objects, only we know. Buddhi itself is lightless. Buddhi is not self-illumined. Crystal is not self-illumined. Otherwise, crystal would not require sunlight or general light. Since crystal, even though does reflect or refract the colors, itself is not self-effulgent. Therefore, it requires to be illumined by a self-effulgent light. Even though buddhi displays the various hues of all the objects, names and forms and characteristics, buddhi is like that crystal, not self-effulgent. In spite of being not self-effulgent, buddhi displays the qualities of as though it is self-effulgent. Even though crystal is not self-shining, crystal nevertheless illumines the colors, creating an appearance of illumining everything. But we know that crystal can do its job only when there is light. So we may not know that buddhi is not self-effulgent, that buddhi is like crystal. And therefore light must be light of consciousness alone makes it possible for buddhi to display these various hues, the characteristics of names and forms. Tasmat atapena eva. Nisprakambena maya sarvam prakashyate. So don't think that crystal illumines. It is a light, changes light. All changes are illumined. All prakampa is illumined by nisprakampena. But that is motionless, changeless light. So also buddhi illumines everything. All changes, motions, modifications done by the light that is devoid of all changes, motions, modifications. That's me. Na buddhivat vikaravata. The illuminator cannot be subject to modification, cannot be vikari. Because vikara must necessarily be illumined, then only it can be known. If the illuminating principle itself also is changing, then you require something else to illuminate that. Therefore, by me, the changeless light of consciousness is everything illumined. Not by buddhi, which itself is vikaravati, possessed of the vikaras. So why do you imagine a consciousness? Why not buddhi itself is a drashta? Why not say that buddhi itself illumines everything? Why do you need a consciousness? Na buddhireva drashtri. You cannot say that buddhi is the drashtri or witness, illuminator. Because buddhi is vikaravati, possessed of all the vikaras. And vikaravan or vikaravat cannot be drashta because it is itself illumined, cannot be illuminated. Then what's the use of buddhi? Nasi evam sati buddhehe anupayoga eva. So what's the purpose of having buddhi? If buddhi is not illuminating things, what purpose does it serve? Buddhi does not illumine. Buddhi is not the witness, not the illuminator. What's the purpose of buddhi? If crystal does not illumine, what's the role of crystal? For the sunlight to illumine the objects, crystal is required. Sunlight cannot directly illumine these colors, etc., requires the crystal. So also, consciousness cannot directly illumine the names and forms. Nana chidra ghatodara sthita maha deepa prabhavaswaram jnanam yas chakshuradikarana dvara bahispandade janamiti. So tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. The consciousness shines and everything shines after that in its light. Itself cannot directly illumine. Consciousness illumines everything through the agency of buddhi. Just as sunlight illumines everything through the agency of the crystal. So crystal has a role to play. Without crystal, sunlight could not do what we need. Without buddhi, there cannot be knowledge of the objects or entities. So even though buddhi is not self-effulgent, not changeless, not the witness, still buddhi is necessary to enable us to know the uniqueness of all the objects. The consciousness can illumine the samanyatva, the existence. Asti, bhati, priyam, that consciousness can illumine. But name and form consciousness cannot directly illumine without the agency of buddhi. Vishaya visheshakaratva apadanaya. The visheshatva of the Vishaya, the name and form of the Vishaya is only illumined by buddhi. And for that, buddhi has a role to play. So, ashesha buddhi sakshitva, vikaritvam, ashuddhatvam. So Vikaritvam of the Atma is illustrated by this example. Vikaritva is in the buddhi, as in crystal, not in sunlight, so also no Vikaritvam of the consciousness. Ashuddhatvam, how do you say, is no impurity in the Atma? Pratyagatmana advitiyat upadayan. This verse logically establishes how Atma is advitiya, non-dual. You need something else to pollute you. Ashuddhi or impurity requires two entities. But Atma is non-dual, therefore ever pure. Buddho drishyam bhavet, buddho satyam nasti viparyaye. Drashta yasmat sada drashta tasmat dvaitam na vidyate. No dvaitam. Buddho sati saptami. Jagradado buddho satya. When buddhi is, when the waking state, the dream state, or the intermediate state, buddhi is there. Then buddho drishyam bhavet. That is also seventh case, but the adhikarana saptami. First buddha is sati saptami. Second buddha is adhikarana saptami. That only when the buddhi is there, in the buddhi the dvaita is possible. Where is it possible? The buddhi alone dvaita is possible. So dvaita requires two things. Requires buddhi to be there, and dvaita takes place in buddhi. Dvaita does not take place in Atma. Dvaita does not require Atma to be there. Nor does Dvaita require Atma to illumine. The very Dvaita, duality, multiplicity, bheda, the divisions, the samsara, is possible only when buddhi is there. And in the buddhi it is there. When the buddhi is there, samsara is, and samsara is in the buddhi. Nasti viparyaye. When buddhi is not there, as in the deep sleep state, etc., there is no samsara. And other than buddhi also, there is no samsara. Buddho satyam swapado drishyam nasti. Swapada, state of deep sleep, etc., there is no drishyam. Why? Jadasya ajnata sattve pramana bhavat. A jadam always requires pramana. Meaning jadam is something that cannot shine on its own. It requires an illuminator to reveal its presence. The objects in this room are not self-shining, therefore they require light to reveal their presence. So also the jadatvam or the bheda bhava dvaita requires buddhi. So in the buddhi they are there, and only when the buddhi is there. Drashta yasmat sada drashta. Whether bhava is there in waking and dream, etc., then also Atma is the drashta of what is. In deep sleep state of bhava, Atma is drashta, because that there is nothing also requires a witness. To say that I don't see anything also requires seeing. That I do not see anything in dark, because darkness also is illuminated by my eyes. That I see something in the light, it also illuminates my eyes, and I do not see anything in dark, that also requires eyes. Eyes are the witness of bhava and abhava, of the presence and absence. Both of them can be established only when eyes are there. Self-effulgence, illumining everything. That principle must be there to the presence and absence of anything. Therefore, drashta yasmat sada drashta. When things are there, that is established only when drashta, eyes are there. When nothing is there, then also drashta, the eyes must be there. Eyes are sada drashta, never drushya. And drushya is ever drushya, never drashta. Tasmad dvaitam na vidyate. Therefore, there is no dvaita, no duality. What do you mean there is no duality? Meaning that duality does not have its own independent existence. Something can be said to be there provided it exists on its own. Only when it exists on its own, it reveals itself, then only you can say it is there. What requires something else to illuminate its existence or illuminate it is not self-existent, not self-shining, meaning it does not possess sat, astitvam, bhatitvam. Therefore, it is not there. There is no proof or evidence of it being there. It itself cannot claim that I am existent. It cannot claim that I am self-shining. It requires something else to impart existence to that. The shining to that for him to claim, for the thing to claim that I am there. All these entities which are there cannot establish their own existence unless the eyes illumine them. Entities that I perceive are neither self-existent nor self-shining. If eyes are closed, they are not there. How do you say they are not there, Swami? What's the proof? That the entities are there. This is hall. And the entities in the hall. How do you say that? Only when there is an evidence. What provides the evidence? The eyes provide that evidence. Without that you cannot say something else. So many eyes say, you don't see, doesn't mean no, anybody else does not. What is anybody else? The eyes only. It is somebody's eyes alone that can establish, isn't it? You may establish manyness of the eyes, and therefore you may have this difficulty. This is a manyness of consciousness. And therefore, you cannot say there is anything other than consciousness, because nothing other than consciousness can reveal itself. So it's not there. For something to be there, it should always exist independently. So that is the basic rule. When this something is, only when it shines, it reveals itself independently. Otherwise, something else is shining in that form. You follow? If something shines on its own, then it does not require an illuminator, then you can say it is. But it does not shine when illuminator is not there. Shines when illuminator is, that means that it is not there. Tasmad dvaitam na vidyate. Dvaitam is only when buddhis are in the buddhi. You follow? And that dvaitam is witnessed by the consciousness, who is always a witness. Therefore, this buddhi or dvaitam, none of them is there, because none of them can establish their being there without consciousness. That's a witness, illuminator. Tasmad Dvaitam na vidyate. There is no duality. It's nothing other than Atma or consciousness. So what will pollute the Atma? Ashuddhatva or impurity requires two entities. The Ganges water is pure by nature. Some impure stuff, it falls in it, can make it impure. There is no other thing. Atma not only is pure by nature, but is not subject to being impure, understand? It's not enough that you are pure. If something can pollute you, then possibly there is potential of impurity. Nothing to pollute. Not only Atma is pure by itself, there is a potential of impurity. Ever Shuddham. Yadyapi Dvaita Samsarga Kritam Ashuddhatvam Atmana Nasti. All right, we accept that impurity arising from the Atma's association with duality is not there. There is no duality. Dvaitasya bhavat. There is no dvaitam, no duality, no samsara. Therefore, there is nothing to pollute the Atma on account of duality. Tathapi vidya avidyabhyam sambandhat. The fact remains that I do not know that I am pure. And then I come to know that I am pure. So right now I am ignorant. Then I become enlightened. So I have no relation with duality because duality is not there. Fact remains that I am ignorant right now and I become enlightened later on. Therefore, Atma does seem to have association with ignorance and knowledge. That you would accept. Ignorance you will accept. Then knowledge alone can take place when ignorance is there. So how about Atma's association with knowledge and ignorance? That will pollute Atma. Buddheva vidya vidya na atmana. No, avidya and avidya, both of them are buddhi, never in Atma. So there is ignorance, no doubt. There is knowledge also. Both are in buddhi, not in Atma. Therefore, Atma does not have samsarga, association, contact with vidya or vidya. Ignorance and knowledge, therefore, on that account also, there is no impurity in Atma. Avivekat parabhavam yatha buddhi avait tatha. Vivekat tu paradanya swayam chapi na vidyate. Yatha avivekat para abhavam buddhi avait. When aviveka is there, ignorance is there, then buddhi does not know the presence of Paramatma, that I am Paramatma. So aviveka is not only absence of viveka, dehadu atma buddhi, unfortunately. It is not just absence of viveka in the buddhi. Buddhi habitually identifies with dehadi. So not only the reason why buddhi does not know itself as Atma is because buddhi takes itself with deha. Therefore, the viparita jnanam is there. So dehadu atma buddhi. Buddhi habitually takes dehadi, the body, sense, mind complex as Atma. So it is called aviveka or ignorance, viparya jnana, viparita jnana. So we are born with not just ignorance, but the wrong knowledge, wrong perception, wrong conclusion, misapprehension, non-apprehension, misapprehension. Therefore, Avivekat parabhavam yatha buddhi avaid. So parasya samsarina abhavam. So buddhi takes itself to be samsari. That's all it knows. And not only takes it, then it takes it to be true. Therefore, in ignorance, buddhi does not know the existence of asamsari atma. But its own true nature of asamsaritvam. Avikat parasya asamsarina abhavam yatha buddhi avaid. Because buddhi habitually took itself a body, then there is no way that buddhi would know I am consciousness. You can know one thing at a time. If my conclusion is that I am a jivatma, I am body, I am mind, I am sense organ, then that's my knowledge. That knowledge, and I am consciousness, I am Paramatma, they cannot coexist. You follow? If I know that I am Paramatma, then there is no way that I can take myself to be body. Therefore, habitually, from the time beginningless, the buddhi takes the body, etc., to be self. Therefore, it never even occurs to it. Never strike that I can be anything else. Because buddhi has already concluded. Buddhi already has conviction that I am jivatma. There is no experience that buddhi has which can change that conclusion. If in a life we have experiences which challenge our conclusion or assumption, then there is a possibility that we may change our opinion. The Newtonian rules were there. There was some experience that could not be explained by Newtonian rules. The question arose, I think maybe there is something else. So fortunately, science keeps on advancing. Because there are experiences that cannot be explained by the present knowledge. And that's called a scientist who wants to understand things. He cannot stand the state of not understanding something. That's human being. That's called jignasa. And therefore he wants to understand. Therefore he explores and discovers new things. That is because whereas Ishvara has given us the ignorance of the world, Ishvara also has many contradictions in the world, which will challenge our present conclusions if we are awake, alert, thinking. Otherwise everything is okay. There may be some Einstein, Max Planck, somebody may be there who may question these things. But as far as the Jivatma is concerned, there is nothing that he experiences that will contradict his conclusion. You follow? In fact, whatever he experiences, he seems to confirm his conclusions. There is no occasion for the Jiva to think that I can be different from what I have taken myself to be. Therefore, you require a teacher. So, you need somebody else to point out, hey, look at look at the contradictions in your life. I don't see that. In case of science, the human buddhi itself is capable of objectifying and seeing. So here the subject is self. Now already conclusions are there, for I never question my conclusion. I need someone else to draw my attention to the fact that, hey, your conclusions are all contradictory. Anyway, vivekat tu paradanya swayam chapena vidyate. So vivekatu anatma apavadena atma swava nirdharanam vivekah. The help of the Acharya, Shastra Acharya, help of scriptures and the teacher. Vivekat anatma apavadena. The rule is told, what is Atma? Atma is that who cannot be negated, is called you. Abhadidam satyam, that's called satyam, which cannot be negated. Who are you? The one that cannot be negated, cannot be objectified. Whatever you objectify, what is negated is not you. Simple rule we are told. Anatma apavadena atma svabhava nirdharana vivekaha. I'm helped to recognize what is anatma. What I have taken for granted to be atma, on account of not knowing what is the characteristic of atma and what is the characteristic of anatma. That what can be negated cannot be atma, this I do not know. So now this is brought to my attention. You cannot be what you negate. Anatma apavadena. Whatever is subject to negation is anatma. So thus atma, anatma, I am told now what is the lakshana, characteristic of atma and anatma. I realize that there is the admixture of the two. Svabhava nirdharana vivekaha. Therefore I keep on rejecting what is rejectable. Svabhava nirdharanam, thus ascertainment of my true nature, is called viveka. So viveka to parat, parat urdhvam, after viveka. Or parat, viveka urdhvam parat, asamsarena paramatma anya jiva samsari na vidyate. Parat anya na vidyate. Viveka urdhvam. After viveka I realize that there is no other than para. There is a viveka of para and apara, atma and atma. When atma is known, I realize that there is no anatma. You follow? If after knowing atma also, if something still remains as anatma, then atma is not understood. So for knowing atma, the atma anatma viveka is there. Once atma is known, there is no anatma left. Parat anya na vidyate. There is nothing other than Paramatma. Swayam chapena vidyate. Buddhi recognizes Jiva, says, I am also not there. Jiva samsari na vidyate. Swayam chapena vidyate. Buddhi recognizes I am also not there, along with my cause ignorance. Tada pratyek brahmabhutatvat sarvasya ityartha. Sarvam atmaiva bhuta. For the wise person, everything is reduced to atma. First, atma is known as distinct from anatma. When the true nature of atma is known, anatma does not remain. So what was thought to be anatma also turns out to be atma. Therefore, pratyek bhutatvat sarvasya. In the perception of a wise person, everything is pratyek bhutam, everything is atma. Therefore, then there is no anatma, no ignorance, so no knowledge also. Knowledge as opposed to ignorance is not there when ignorance is not there. Atma as opposed to anatma is not there when anatma is not there. So opposition goes away. And therefore, the knowledge that stands contradictory to ignorance also is not there when ignorance is not. Bhranti, samyajnaya, vidya, vidyayoho api, buddhi, all of this is in buddhi, never in atma. Therefore, atma does not have any association with avidya or vidya. Not only does Atma not have association with Anatma or Dvaita, but does not have any association with vidya or avidya. Therefore, Atma is ever pure, I am ever pure. And so, Nirvikara, Shuddha, that's how he is established here. Okay. Saptamam Buddhyaruda Prakaranam. 7th chapter called Buddhyarudam. So, knowledge through the intellect. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.